This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, plus Alex, plus Nate, and Sam somewhere in the background.
And a
Make a
pot
pot
Eating
roast.
pot roast.
I love pot roast. It's my favorite meat.
Same.
It is Tuesday, August 20th, and there is finally real, meaningful football action taking place this upcoming weekend.
Less.
Good thing.
There will be no betting show.
Boo.
Yeah,
That's
shoot,
what
man.
it's sad right there.
We'll get there.
Buzz
Until next
Killington.
week. But
I
sure,
love-
Jim, you feel free to give.
Why
any
are you so
thoughts.
bright and echoey? Are you coming from a live location somewhere?
Coming in from a different location.
Tahiti.
You are
Yes.
like under. It's like you're being interrogated. Interrogated. I'm talking like Muff.
Okay,
It's
there
like
you
your
go.
interrogation room.
No, he's in the cellar. Let's put it that way.
Trying to get some footage.
Footage.
Got some popsicles in the cellar.
This is a rough start we're at right now, guys. Now I want a popsicle. Damn it.
Oh no.
This week we provide our breakdowns of the NFC North and the Big Ten. Thanks to Nate and Jim on their work. Nate on the NFC North, Jim on the Big Ten. We're not going to get into too much else, but we're going to thank, as always, to everybody interacting with our content on the socials at Sports Jim Off on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim Off on Facebook, on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
Which is
For those of you on YouTube, Alex was knocking when he said ding ding.
No, I was covering my mouth because I'm chewing. My
It looked
stomach.
like you went ding ding.
That might be a new thing. I'll knock ding.
Ding ding. Which brings us into some football news. Again, week 0 in college football, college game day is headed to Dublin, Ireland to cover the number 10 Florida State Seminoles taking on Georgia Tech, 12 p.m. Eastern kick on ESPN.
Betting show, and it's a Georgia Tech game. I mean, come on. What are we doing?
Jim, there are 4 games. If you can't figure that out for yourself without conversation, it's your problem, not ours.
Plus, there's a Rutgers game on Sunday.
Oh my God, 5 total games.
I mean, that's a full slate.
That's between you and your other degenerate friends, buddy. We also have Montana State at New Mexico, SMU at Nevada, and Delaware State at Hawaii in the nightcap.
I got Alex on a Hawaii game.
At 11:59 p.m. That might even push my
Act like you're not going to be drunk betting on Hawaii. Come on now. It's not football if you're not betting on Hawaii drunk.
I'm trying to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah, I bet you are.
But before we could even get to college football or the NFL, ESPN cleared some spots in their lineup over the past week as RG3 is fired. And then Sam Ponder also is out from the ESPN network.
So I saw in your note here that he was fired after taking a shot at Paul Feinbaum, but I thought he got fired because the Kelsey bro took his spot.
I mean, that might be a part of it, but I did see something where he was saying something. He didn't directly call out Feinbaum, but he made a comment that everybody said, yeah, it was directed at Paul Feinbaum. Let me see if I can find it.
I just thought, and then Sam Ponder, why? I like Sam Ponder.
I don't have any good response for that, aside from sometimes these firings come in twos.
And like these are 2 minority fires too. I feel like that's bad juju for the mouse. Like they didn't make enough money on Deadpool Wolverine. We got to fire people.
Possibly.
Maybe the answer. I do not know. We have the Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff fantasy football draft this Saturday night.
Yep, get pumped.
Jordan,
Get pumped.
Jim's wife, is on the clock.
That route at my house. She was like, "What do you mean I'm on the clock?" Like she thought you meant for the keepers.
Did you do yours?
No.
So she was upset. She thought I put it out to the whole league. That
She didn't do her keepers. She was big mad. She's like, "No, Joe, it's for the draft." Oh, okay.
How long did that take to iron out? Shortly after we had a group text.
Yes.
And she was like, "Why is he not
Why
addressing
am I
this.
getting called out? It's like, babe,
This is normal. This is normal talk.
this is how this works.
All right, as we go into the college football season, the preseason Heisman favorites per FanDuel, we have Dylan Gabriel from Oregon at plus 700, Carson Beck, quarterback Georgia, plus 750, Quinn Ewers, Texas quarterback, plus 1,000, Will Howard, quarterback Ohio State, plus 1,400, along with Jackson Dart from Ole Miss at plus 1,400. Where do we think the best value is among these top five?
What do you mean by value? Like
If you were going to say
where the money is?
value could be, I would rather put $10 on Jackson Dart than $50 on Dylan Gabriel.
I was gonna say Jackson Dart, honestly.
I'm gonna put the sure thing on Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, he seems like the easy one to bet right now. But I think Ewers is interesting to me. With Texas going to the SEC, if they can somehow run the table in their first year there with all this hype going into it, I think he's got a shot.
I think he is the far-reaching one in my opinion.
Right. For me, that's the value. Sprinkle a little bit on him and see what happens.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, to Muff's question, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I would I'm gonna say I would go with either, like a larger bet on Carson Beck or a smaller bet on Jackson Dart.
I like how we're all just, even myself, Will Howard, no. Mm-mm. No.
You never
Hey,
I don't think you would ever
popsicle.
I don't think you would ever bet on a Ohio State quarterback preseason.
No.
That's what I'm saying. If it was a running back up there, you'd think about it, but not a quarterback.
No.
That's what I was looking for. I had to Google search some of the guys' names. I did not see anybody that was a non-quarterback outside like the top 10 or 15 on that
Gotta
list.
be Oklahoma State's running back's got to be up top.
I would think, but I see him on the list
then-
I looked at.
And then Judkins that transferred to Ohio State, right, Jim?
Yeah, I think he's like got buzz on him, but I don't know. It all depends on how they use it because he's
Yeah.
still got Trayvon Henderson there too.
It's true.
I think that dual running back situation is going to hurt his prospects.
More to come on that when we get into the Big Ten preview. Some of the news coming from the NFL. Jaden Daniels named the starter for the Commanders.
Bum, 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 bum.
Caleb
You
Williams.
notice how I'm like happier? Everybody's happier.
Yeah, football's coming back.
It's in the air, baby. Let's go.
We had a little cool down here in the Northeast,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's going to just get really hot again. So, whatever. Caleb Williams
Call
also.
that fake fall.
Yes, fake fall. Caleb Williams also starting in Chicago as we all expected. And do we think Bo Nix is going to ultimately get the nod?
Yes. 1,000%.
He better.
I think
Mm-hmm.
if he does not week 1, by week 3, he would definitely will be the starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
he had
Yeah.
another good preseason game. Bo Nix did versus Green Bay last weekend. Nate, you got a lot of other good stats in here about Bo Nix, but I think the silver lining is Bo Nix is playing really well.
I think the big thing is the last part there where out of the 6 drives, he scored either a field goal or a touchdown on 6 out of the 7 drives he's been on the field.
Yeah, it's very telling. Now he started this past week. He was the first QB. So it's over multiple samples, first and second on the field. So that's what we got. We know one rookie quarterback that is not going to take the field, and that is Vikings rookie quarterback JJ McCarthy, who is out for the season.
Oh,
It gets a big blow
That
for what the
sucks.
Vikings were hoping for out of the season.
that's terrible.
Right, Jim? Try to
That's
fake,
Jim with sarcasm.
just a little bit more about how much you don't care.
I don't think I never root for a season-ending injury in a guy's rookie year. I mean,
Karma is a bitch.
He's not
Okay.
playing for him anymore.
what does that have to do with this other guy?
When you cheat, karma gets you.
How do you know he cheated? I thought we. Oh, wait, let's not go down this rabbit hole again.
Yeah, I thought we went over this last week, where this is only coaches have been involved thus far, Jim. The Vikings did pick up defensive back Stephon Gilmore, who was still a free agent. So the very bad with something that's kind of good, I guess. Minshew Mania is going to be coming
Wait,
to
let's
Las
go back to
Vegas.
the Vikings for a second. There are plenty of quarterbacks out there for them. Like, let's not write that off.
Who's still out there?
Yes, Jim.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
We gonna bring Mason Rudolph in, looking for Kenny Pickett. What do you want, buddy?
Yeah.
Duck Hodges.
Yeah, there's plenty. There's plenty of them out there. Jim can't name one.
Yeah, you're right.
Minshew Mania is coming to Las Vegas as Gardner is named the starter for the Raiders over Aiden O'Connell, who was #1 on the depth chart coming into the preseason.
I wish I would have put the quote in there from Antonio Pierce. He was like, "Yeah, one guy performed well, the other guy not so much."
This is where we are. Other NFL news in the trade market: the Patriots traded elite rusher Matthew Judon for a 3rd-round pick to the Falcons. In my opinion, the Pats I don't know what the metrics were that they were using to say that the 3rd round was okay to get for Judon, but I think they just totally got fleeced.
That's what happens when you lose Belichick. Right there. That is the result of not having Belichick.
Is it a conditional 3rd round that could become a 2nd?
I did not see any conditional on that tag. I'm not saying it's not there. Everything I saw initially was that it was a straight 3rd rounder.
I mean, wait and see what he does.
Yeah, I mean he's.
But yeah, I mean, he's been there, done that. So I mean, we think you can get more, but he isn't an aging player, so I kind of get not wanting to trade a 1st round or maybe even a early 2nd.
Yeah, it's just terrible timing. You could have done this towards the end of the season if you really wanted to try to figure this one out. Maybe his increases in value, because I don't think he was going to decrease in value.
No, if anything, those would have been one of those nice like draft day trades.
Right. Go ahead, Nate. Daniel Jones.
So I happen to scroll through all these different NFL pages I see on Twitter and Instagram and whatever. So put this in there, need to get Jim's thoughts. So Daniel Jones, in my opinion, is in midseason form with 2 picks against Jim's Texans, including an ugly pick 6, which he could have just taken a safety on and just threw a floater out there. The guy walked in for 5 yards and scored. So Jim, are you getting a little bit more anxious as your first season as a Texans fan?
No.
No hype?
No.
No hype.
No.
Are you gonna bet on the
optimistic.
Texans?
Yes.
Ooh. He's gonna bet on his new team. He didn't really bet on the Chargers that much.
That's not true. I did bet on them for a large chunk of the first part of the season. Then they shit on it, and I was like, "Nah, I'm done."
TBD, but Daniel Jones did look pretty poopy.
$40 million man.
He's the
Or
one.
$50 million, whatever he is.
I did not see these, but Nate found this that the Bengals announced their all orange alternates.
Yes.
I saw those.
Big fan.
Be
Yeah,
interesting.
they were teasing the orange pants or whatever that leaked, and then like as soon as that leaked, they showed the all orange unis.
Big fan.
I don't know if I'm a fan of all orange.
You haven't even seen them.
I'm just saying, generally, I'm not a fan.
You
of
haven't seen
orange.
them until you see
Jim,
them.
are they gonna look like inmates out there? What's the deal?
They're gonna look like orange creamsicles.
Well, I mean, it is the Bengals.
Jesus.
Also
Not
true.
the Cowboys. Cowboys of the 90s. A report came out earlier last week that Jim Harbaugh had offered a coaching job to Colin Kaepernick earlier this year.
I don't defend Harbaugh ever, but that's not necessarily the true reporting of what happened. Like there are rumblings of that's what happened, but there was discussions of him coming to coach the quarterbacks. He had offered the same situation at Michigan. He wants to have Kaepernick on his coaching staff. He has respect for Kaepernick, but an offer to coach this year at the Chargers was not necessarily made. A discussion was had.
I mean, Harbaugh gave what? He gave Kaepernick an opportunity when he was at Michigan to throw, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously some ongoing relationship there. So
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's not it's possible that maybe it wasn't a full coaching offer. Maybe it was an offer to come in as like a consultant for a week or something. Who knows?
I don't think there was an offer at all. I think
Okay.
next year, possibly. I think there was just discussions of like, hey, what are you doing right now? Would you like to?
Got it.
So it's a publicity stunt.
I wouldn't even go that far because Harbaugh's into publicity stunts and like we would know. Like, I just think this was a conversation that has blown up. And again, I don't defend the man, but in this situation, from everything I read, it's being made more to do of than it should be.
Nice. All right, Nate, this is all you, buddy.
So this came across my feed today, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So Tua had some things to say about old buddy, former head coach when he's a rookie, Brian Flores. And as we know, Brian Flores had that ugly exit from Miami saying that they were trying to tank or whatever and blah, blah, blah. So Tua was on the Dan Le Batard show when, I don't know, but like I said, I just saw this today. And he was quoted on there saying, if you woke up every morning and I told you that you suck at what you did, that you don't belong, that you shouldn't be here, that you haven't earned this, and then someone comes along and tells you you're the best fit for this, how would it make you feel?
The way he phrased it and like machine gunned it, I had to listen to it again because it kind of sounded like he was confused. And maybe that was the way he meant it. Was Flores said he sucked, McDaniel said he was great, and so he didn't know if he sucked or he was great.
The
Like,
way
is
I
he-
interpreted that when I watched it was he came in as a rookie and basically hadn't even gotten an opportunity to show himself as a player. And Flores is like, right away, man, you suck. I don't want you here. The organization picked you, blah, blah, blah.
Right, but then to say like McDaniel comes in, tells him he's great. Okay, cool. And then that's the success. But no, he says, how would that make you feel? And that's where I got confused. Like, are you questioning whether you're great or are you questioning whether you suck?
I think he was questioning if he sucked because, I mean, again, you come in as a rookie, first round pick, don't even really get a chance to play yet. And your coach is like, man, first round pick my ass.
Right.
And then
And
now
I
you
get
get
that.
Daniel in there and you see the success he's had under McDaniel, gets a new contract. Meanwhile, where's Brian Flores? Does anybody know?
Fair. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's one way to take it. It was just the way he phrased that whole line was jarring. I will say that much. It was like, whoa. I had to listen to it once or twice to like, or 2 or 3 times to like get where he was going with it. But I also think the style in which Le Batard, like this is like the 3rd or 4th buzzworthy conversation to come out of Dan. And I think just that's the way Dan's situation sets up for it. Like you get these weird off the cuff comments from his interviewee, and you're like, well, wait, that wasn't supposed to pop out like that. So I think Dan does a great job interviewing. Like I'm gonna listen to it more because of stuff like that.
Yeah, Dan's good for sound bites. That is
Yeah.
100%. He brings him in and puts him on the spot. So
But it's in like a subtle way. It's not like direct. You know what I mean?
I always looked whenever he had his TV show and his dad was on there and he has that real
Yeah.
heavy accent. And he's like, see, I'm very intrigued.
Right.
Nate, do some back work on that
What,
to
on his
confirm-
dad?
To confirm it was his father. There was a lot of speculation that maybe it wasn't. Brings us into our next NFL division breakdown this week with the NFC North. Last year's standings had the resurgent Lions winning the division at 12-5, followed by the Jordan Love-full Packers at 9-8, the Kirk Cousins-less Vikings at 7-10, and waiting for Caleb Williams and the Bears also at the bottom of the division at 7-10. Starting with the Lions, key losses: guard Jonah Jackson, cornerback Cam Sutton, wide receiver Josh Reynolds, and DBCJGJ, offset by additions of Kevin Zeitler at guard, DJ Reader at D-tackle, and Carlton Davis in the defensive backfield, joining their draft picks of note, both in the defensive backfield, and Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, joining the man, Jared Goff, along with Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver, Penei Sewell at tackle, and Aiden Hutchison on the defensive line.
I'm here for the Lions again.
Yeah, me too.
Think of this
Yeah.
division, you have to be here for the Lions.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, Still strong.
Yeah, I'm betting heavy with Alex again if we go down that gravy train. Probably more so.
Biting kneecaps again.
Yeah, biting kneecaps.
Fighting kneecaps and winning bets. Although you're not going to get the same prices. They are underdog.
Yeah.
Just they
True.
they made that pick the winner, and we will not have that opportunity this year because they are probably going to be favored in most games.
Which is still crazy to fathom that and say, oh, who's the betting favorite on this game? Oh, the Lions.
Yeah, this is
It is uncomfortable.
it's a generational issue for this podcast.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the Lions?
No, I think we hammered that one home.
Hopefully they don't get into any more fights. Packers lose Aaron Jones at running back, Jonathan Owens in the defensive backfield, who happens to also be Simone Biles' husband, and Darnell Savage also at safety, offset by the additions of Josh Jacobs at running back, Xavier McKinney at safety, and Andre Dillard at tackle. Joining also their draft picks, Jordan Morgan, tackle out of Arizona, Edrin Cooper, linebacker out of Texas A&M, and Javon Bullard, safety from Georgia. We've, as we all know, have Jordan Love at quarterback, A.J. Dillon at running back, Rashawn Gary at D end, and Jair Alexander, the human highlight reel, at least on the camera, in the defensive backfield.
I still don't see enough weapons for Jordan Love. Am I wrong?
I mean, all of their wide receivers are coming back. Christian Watson, um,
Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, they're still young, pretty much in all of their skill positions, aside running back at this point. I mean, Josh Jacobs is late 20s now. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably been in the league, 5 going on 6 years?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they got a little bit younger at running back with Josh Jacobs over Aaron Jones, and they definitely saved a little bit of money there. But yeah, most of their skill positions are still young, so it's gonna go as their development goes.
I was gonna say, I think if these guys all continue to develop, I do think that in the next couple years, Packers could have a good team if Jordan Love turns out to be as good as everyone thinks he's going to be.
Yeah, if they
think
perform like they did at the end of the year last year, then watch out.
Yeah.
I would say they're not really an under the radar team in this division just because of how they performed at the end of the year last year, but I think they're still, I would say, overshadowed right now by the Lions.
Which I think they're fine with.
Yeah, I agree. Jim?
All right. I think fair enough.
All right. Next, we got the Vikings, who lose Kirk Cousins at quarterback, Alex Madison at running back, Daniil Hunter at linebacker, Jordan Hicks at linebacker, and KJ Osborne as wide receiver. But they do bring in Aaron Jones in division, Sam Darnold at quarterback, which now looks like a very, very key addition. Stephon Gilmore just signed, as we talked about earlier, and Jerry Tillery on the defensive line. Joining, unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy from the draft, who is out for the season, and Dallas
Man.
Turner from Alabama in the linebacker role.
That I feel like that was a blow.
Devastating.
Yeah. Shut up. First of all,
It's not like we not already talked about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the injury bug has already hit the Vikings hard. And then I forgot to add on here Jordan Addison, who looks like he may have escaped a serious injury, but still going to miss some time.
Yep. Obviously, the man in Minnesota is Justin Jefferson. They also have TJ Hawkinson at tight end and Harrison Smith on the defensive side of the ball at strong safety. Yeah, this is just Sam Darnold. This is either his time to stay a backup for the rest of his life or put himself into like the bottom 5 starters if he can do something with this team.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around. He's got the experience. It's just like, all right, dude, you've been around for this long. Let's see why.
Yep. Other thoughts on the Vikings?
Skull.
Moving on to the Bears, who lose Justin Fields at quarterback, Darnell Mooney at wide receiver, and Eddie Jackson at safety. But they do bring in a good core in their offseason free agent additions with DeAndre Swift at running back, Keenan Allen at wide receiver, Kevin Byard in the defensive backfield, along with Jonathan Owens, who we talked about coming over from Green Bay. Joining their top 2 draft picks, Caleb Williams and Roman Dunze, but do not let punter Torrey Taylor be overshadowed in this as the man who could turn the season around for Chicago.
Look, you got the punter from Iowa. You know he's experienced.
Hmm.
And can just pound the ball.
Yeah, a lot of practice.
A lot of practice. Joining DJ Moore at wide receiver, Montez Sweat on the D line, and Jalen Johnson in the defensive backfield. How are we feeling about the Bears going into the season?
Definitely think they've had the best offseason of every team in that division.
Is that
I
because
don't-
they got rid of Justin Fields?
No, I mean just the guys they brought in.
That's it. No, there's been a lot of discussion about the Bears and saying this is one of the better spots for a number 1 overall selected quarterback to fall into in a while.
So would we say it's Kevin's fault the Bears look so good?
I don't know why he would take fault with that.
That makes me uncomfortable.
That Kevin did something
Kind
good.
of knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Time will tell, Jim. Time will tell. You got why they play the game, buddy.
Yeah, I think that I can see the Bears having like a maybe about 500 season, which is going to be good for like the Bears of late, I feel like. So I do think with their improved off season, they improve, but I still don't think they're good yet. I think they have a team that's setting up to be good, kind of similar to the Packers, possibly the next few years. But I think that this year will be kind of a like step in the right direction, but not a jump to the top.
All right. That brings us to our predictions for the NFC North.
King of the
Let's-
North.
King of the North. Let's start with who doesn't start? I think Alex's turn to start, maybe.
Okay. I have the Lions coming in on top at 13-4. I have the Packers coming in second at 11-6. Bears 8-9, and the Vikings bringing up the rear at 5-12. I went 5-12 on the Vikings. Honestly, I probably would have gone closer to maybe like 7-10, but with their recent injury issues, I don't have much hope for them. 5 might be a generous amount of wins.
Hey, Nate.
I have the Lions winning the division at 12-5. Packers right on their tails at 11-6. I think the Bears come in at 10-7. I think they just have too much talent that they brought in to not be at least a 500 team. And then the Vikings are just going to start falling apart with all these injuries, losing these key name players, and they're going to be 6-11.
All right, Jim.
I have the Vikings 4-11, the Packers 9-8, the Bears 10-7, and the Lions 13-4.
What are the Vikings? Are they just giving up?
4-13.
Are they tapping out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I have the Lions atop the division at 11-6, winning a tiebreaker against the Packers, also finishing 11-6. Bears at 9-8, and the Vikings at 4-13. Any final thoughts on the NFC North?
Not really.
I think if the Vikings can, not this season, I think if they can get some guys in there, maybe next season, this has one of the chances to be one of the most competitive divisions in football.
Hey, we don't need to hear pot roast in the
Yeah, somebody's
background.
getting beaten up a pot roast back there.
I was just going to say that similar to Nate, my comment was going to be that I think that there will be some competition, especially in like the top 3 area. So I think it'll be an interesting division from that standpoint. But I think the only one to actually make like conference wide or league wide splash would be if the Lions show out.
All right. So that wraps up the NFC North. Next week in the NFL, we're gonna breaking down the NFC South.
Break it down now. Break it down now.
NFC South, where we're going to talk about Nate's Bucks.
Oh, Nate. So
Alex.
I went to Raymond James Stadium. So
You did.
everyone, I saw a concert there this past week, and during the encore, Zach Bryan always plays Revival, and he did between each course he pauses. He does like each musician, and they do like a solo. And it's cool. It's really neat. So like the fiddle player is really good, and we were all like, "Where did he go?" He's just like kind of gone halfway through the encore. I'm like, "I don't know, did he get sick? Did something happen?" He's gone. So they saved him for last, and he always does this big thing like the greatest fiddle player alive. And he was up in the pirate ship or whatever, and all these lights come down on him. He's like standing with like one leg up, like Captain Morgan, just like I mean, just shredding. An amazing musician. But it was pretty exciting. I was like, that's cool use of props. I got excited about
He
it.
was on the ship, in the ship, in the ship,
It's a
on the
nice
ship.
game. I liked it.
All right. All right, that wraps up the NFC North. Again, the NFC South next week. And that brings us into our college football breakdown this week, which is going to be brought to you courtesy of Jim. He's going to break down all of the Big Ten.
Crazy. All right. I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way up.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Let me just put this one special note out there. The top 5 teams in the Big Ten went 6-6 against each other and 56-2 against the world.
I mean, the nation, if the world's true.
So, start with Indiana. 4-8 last year. Head coach wasted no time remaking Indiana's roster. The Hoosiers welcomed 30 players from the transfer portal. Of Indiana's 22 projected starters, 15 are incoming transfers. Indiana's returning 2 starters from its offensive line last year. That's about what you need to know about Indiana.
Kurt Signetti.
Yeah, sure. But
That's
Indiana.
a high profile hire.
We
for
got
them.
18 teams here, buddy.
I mean, you missed one of them already.
Who?
Michigan State.
Oh man, I cut that out. Hold on. Backtrack.
You started sort of from the bottom.
Wah, wah, wah.
Go ahead, Muff. Talk about why I pulled my note back up.
About Michigan State.
Yeah.
Their offense produced just a 59.2 passing grade in 2023. The power.
I got the power.
That's all I have, Jim.
Oh man, it's gone. All right.
They're not going to be very good, probably.
They
Yeah,
suck.
Michigan State, they're non-contenders.
All right, no, it's right here. I got it. Michigan State produced just 59 yards, just a 59.2 passing grade in 2023. They should be more optimistic this year. Jonathan Smith bringing quarterback Adana Childs and tight end Jack Velling from Oregon State.
Any relation to Jordan Childs?
Still looking for a bronze.
I don't know. Spartans' 3 best defenders: Derek Harmon, Sam Simeon, Barrow Jr., and safety Jaden Magaham, all entered the transfer portal. Michigan State brought in lots of transfers on the defensive side of the ball and will need them immediately if they want to improve. Then we have Purdue, also 4-8. Returns 3 starting offensive linemen. The other 2 spots, they brought in some transfers. I don't know what happened to Muff. He's back. Last year they placed 107 in receiving and just lost their top 4 pass catchers. Tyrone Tracy was their starting running back. He's with the New York Giants. They're gonna have their starting quarterback return. That's about it. Illinois. They had a top 40 run defense and tackling. They returned 5 of their 9 front 7. They add a Florida State interior defensive lineman, Dennis Briggs, from the transfer portal. They lost 4 of their top 5 receivers and lost their top rusher, Reggie Love III. Their quarterback's back. That's the gist on Illinois. There's some
Illinois,
spark.
still hoping that run game is going to bring them to pay dirt.
But they gotta have somebody's gotta step up in that position. Now
I
it's gonna
agree.
get more interesting. I go a little more in depth. Nebraska 5-6 last year. Success last year was primarily due to the strong defense. They brought back 9 of their 13 defenders who played at least 300 snaps. They also strengthened their defense with transfers such as Stephon Thompson and cornerback Blyle Hill. Nebraska posted the Power Five's third lowest team passer grade, though. But with additions they've made at wide receiver and the arrival of a 5-star quarterback, 5 stars, they might not be bad. The talent quarterback Dylan Raiola is supposed to be a stud, but he just graduated. This year.
Wasn't he originally a Georgia commit?
Yeah, and so now he's supposed to be a stud. He needs to hit the ground running. So easy wins that I think that they can pick up: UTEP, Northern Iowa, IU, UCLA. 50-50 chances. Colorado, Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Wisconsin. Tough ones for them: OSU, USC, Iowa.
I think you've missed the most impressive addition this offseason,
What's that?
Matt Rule.
They had him last season, bud.
I think things are going to start turning for him
This
this
is
year,
year
though.
2, buddy. This is year 2.
I think things are going to start turning for him this year with him, though.
Well, I gave him a fighting chance.
You did. You actually gave them some wins.
Gave him a fighting chance. All right, Minnesota 6-7 last year, returning their 2 lead rushers from last season, Darius Taylor and Jordan Newman. Taylor is a rising star as his 80 rushing yards ranked second among true freshmen last year.
Is that
Golden
average?
Yeah, that's his average.
Okay.
The Golden Gophers also added Ohio's Sia Bangora. I did good there, I feel. And Oklahoma's Marcus Major from the transfer portal, each earning a 70+ rushing grade last season. Minnesota also brings back 4 starting offensive linemen. Minnesota needs some players to help on the passing attack, though. No weapons. New Hampshire transfer quarterback Max Brossemer has a shot. They also have Daniel Jackson, who's a good number 1 receiver. They had a 109 receiving grade. And last year, only 3 of Minnesota's receivers had a 100-yard receiving yards. Ooh. Easy wins for them: Nevada and Rhode Island. 50-50, UCLA, Maryland, Rutgers, Wisconsin. Tough ones.
You were not on the UCLA side this year.
I am not.
All these shit teams are getting the 50-50.
I'll explain.
Is
Tough
it because
ones?
I'll say, is it because UCLA's coach had to explain where they are?
Yes. Tough ones: Iowa, Michigan, USC, Penn State.
Iowa also is a tough matchup for every team.
Yes. Rutgers 7-6 last year. Greg Schiano keeps improving. They returned 10 of their 13 defenders. That unit, the defense is going to be strong. New quarterback, Minnesota transfer. Don't even ask me to explain his name. I'm not going to do it.
Can you pronounce it? You don't have to explain it.
Athana Kakamanis.
Ethan Kaikamanis.
They got some great receivers. They got some solid running backs, but it's Rutgers.
Yeah, it is Rutgers, and Kaikamanis was serviceable with Minnesota last year. Let's not forget what their record was.
But here's the catch. Easy wins: Howard, Akron, UCLA, Michigan State. 50-50. Virginia Tech, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois. They're tough wins. They're tough ones. Washington, USC. They have no OSU or Penn State or Michigan.
Or
Yeah.
Oregon.
Or Oregon.
Yeah, they have a favorable schedule.
The best schedule in the Big Ten.
I agree. And they're out of conference is
Or-
not
it's not hard at all.
it's not hurting their chances. Virginia
Rutgers-
Tech, Howard
So do you
Akron.
think he reserves a raise there, Jim?
He done good. Wisconsin 7-6 last year. Fickle's year 2. Struggled in the passing game. Hello, child. Minor break. All right. New quarterback Tyler Van Dyke.
You new popsicle.
No, she had medicine in here. Wisconsin fields a top 10 secondary. Anchored by top 10 safety Hunter Wooler and top 15 cornerback Ricardo Hallman. The Badgers also returned 4 other defensive backs who played at least 300 snaps last year. Have one of the most underrated cornerbacks, RJ Delsey III from Toledo. Receiving corps is going to be the big issue. As it earned the 6th worst receiving grade of the Power 5. They
Seems to
didn't
be
do
a
much.
theme here. It seems to be a theme here in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it truly is. But what are we gonna do? The Badgers did not do much to address that problem either. They lost some to the transfer portal. Their top 10 tight end just signed to the Miami Dolphins as a free agent. So receiving is going to be an issue over there in Wisconsin. Easy wins, South Dakota, Purdue, and Northwestern. 50-50, Rutgers, Nebraska, and Minnesota. Tough, USC, Bama, Penn State, and Iowa.
We got Bama on the schedule.
Yeah. Northwestern, 8-5. Who would have thought they were 8-5 last year? Not this guy. Not this guy.
Just when they weren't, doing things naked in the
Like
locker
shots in the showers. Team
Now they're
returns.
going to be doing it by the lake.
Yeah, hey, listen, that stadium location is pretty sweet.
I'm pretty sure Alex is asleep.
You lost me at the bottom. I mean, I'll be more interested as we get to the top part, but
Gotcha.
it's how
Northwest-
it's how you feel when I start talking about the bottom of the Big 12.
Exactly.
No, that's Jim taught things about that in the entire Big 12 hours.
Yeah.
Well,
Team returns 8 of their 10 defensive front 7. Run defense should be
I need this is funny to me.
right.
Just how this reads. I get what's happening. The team returns 8 of their 10 interior defensive front 7 players.
We want me to do
why do they have
that.
10 interior defensive front 7
It
players?
means they have a rotation, but it reads terribly.
I just copy and paste, man.
Oh no, I know. That's why I think it's funny is I understand what it means, but when you listen to it and you read it, you're like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I was sitting here like, wait a minute, what? The other team he was saying something about
Yeah.
like 5 out of their 9 front 7. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's poopy.
Oh no, like I said, I know what it means. It's just hilarious to hear somebody say it.
They got a quarterback battle of poop. Mississippi State transfer Mike Wright. They got Jack Larish, Ryan Helinski. They were all sub 500 or sub 55 passing grade in their careers. They all suck. Easy wins, East Illinois and Miami of Ohio. 50-50, Duke, IU, Purdue, Illinois. Tough, Maryland, Washington, Wisconsin, Iowa, OSU, Michigan.
No faith that 8 and 5 is going to translate.
I have 0. Did you hear me say they have a shit quarterback battle?
Pretty sure they've had those for the past 2 or 3 years now.
I mean, unless they get, yeah,
Remember what Iowa does.
that's true. All right, USC, no Caleb Williams. This is legitimately their reasoning in some of these analysis that I've caught. No Caleb Williams, but they got Laken Riley as if he's actually throwing the ball.
They got a system.
They got a great running back in the transfer portal, Mississippi State's Woody Marks. QB Miller Moss and the receiving corps are very inexperienced. They have some high-end flashes. Don't know what that means. Defense finished 118th. They hired the UCLA's defensive coordinator, which leads me to why UCLA will suck. They think that will solve the defensive problems.
mean, I don't think it can hurt much.
No. UCLA will be their easy win. So will Utah State. 50-50, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Rutgers, and Nebraska. Tough ones. LSU, Michigan, Penn State, Maryland, Washington, and Notre Dame. Now for who I think will be one of the punching bags of the Big Ten. UCLA. No Chip Kelly. So we get Deshaun Foster. 9 defensive starters and a defensive coordinator left the program. UCLA retained its top 3 receivers. And that's about it. That's about all they got. Transfer portal was okay. I really am not sure what they're putting out there.
They're putting
Lots of
a
inexperience.
team from Los Angeles. Them and
Uh-huh.
USC are in LA. Nate, did you know that?
You mean UCLA wasn't the University of Central Louisiana?
The Mud Dogs.
It's bad poop for UCLA. Easy win. I think Hawaii, maybe. I'm just being generous to them. Fresno State, 50-50 will be IU. Minnesota, Nebraska, Rutgers. I think they'll just get dog walked by LSU, Oregon, Penn State, Iowa, USC. Oh, wait. Yeah, USC and Washington.
Yeah. One thing, and this is just generally in this conference, that I think it is going to be interesting for the teams that travel to the West Coast. Like even these teams that we don't maybe not expect on the West Coast to be good, maybe UCLA steals a game or two
Maybe.
because of the travel. I think
it's going to be the opposite. I think when you got these West Coast teams coming to the East Coast, and if they have a noon kick on the East Coast, that's 9 a.m. local to them.
Yeah, maybe. That's true.
I think both directions. I mean, you might be able to steal some games from those opponents. So I think it's a big advantage, especially this year one, while they figure out how to make this travel happen week to week, right? I mean, I understand that they did the best to make this not terrible, but I think it's going to catch up to some of these top teams at some point in the year.
All right, Alex, this is where it starts to get interesting, okay?
Okay, I'm back.
Maryland, 8-5. The wide receiver room is stacked. Lots of strength added through the transfer portal to the O-line. Running backs are mid. They're not terrible. New quarterback could be anyone. Billy Edwards Jr. was good in the bowl game. They got experience from NC State transfer MJ Morris. Cameron Edge is the most skilled passer they have. Champ Long has some combo skills. Coach Loxley is not ruling any of them out right now, including the sophomore Jaden Saray. They have a solid defensive front. Secondary is new-ish with some of the starters gone, but the guys behind them have gotten reps. I think Maryland is the sleeper in this whole situation.
I can't disagree. It's just the quarterback situation without Talia there anymore.
Okay. All right. Easy wins, UConn, Virginia, Michigan State, Villanova, IU, and Northwestern. 50-50, Minnesota and Rutgers. Tough, USC, and I'm just showing a little bit of respect to USC. Oregon, Iowa, and I don't know how tough that'll be. I think that's one of those that Maryland will catch. Penn State, I think, will be tough. No Ohio State.
I mean, can't play them all every year.
I don't like that. I like the Maryland-Ohio State game. And as a new season ticket holder, I wish that Maryland played Ohio State. So I'm a little angry about that.
Is it because of the helmet?
I just think it's a fun game to watch. They're always close. I'm just a fan. Well, they're not close, but it's it's fun.
It's competitive for a quarter or two.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Iowa, new offensive coordinator, guys.
Begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cade McNamara comes back from injury.
Nickamara. What's that
They
says
had
on there?
transfer Brendan Sullivan from Northwestern. They still have Luke Leachy, tight end.
Oh, we got a tight end in Iowa.
Solid running back, 0 depth at wide receiver.
Surprise, surprise.
Their offensive line underperforms. The defense is Iowa. So
I mean,
it's-
the most key loss on this team is who, Nate?
the punter.
The punter.
Yeah, true.
Corey Taylor's not there to flip the field anymore.
So I think the easy wins for them is Illinois State, Troy.
See, frozen or just done talking?
Jimmy's frozen.
I think they cut him off. They were like, "This is enough about the Big Ten. No one
I
cares."
think it was some Iowa slander got him from the Midwest.
Yeah, somewhere in the interwebs, they were like, "No, thank you."
Jim said the easy wins were Illinois State, Troy, Michigan State, and Northwestern. 50-50. He had Iowa State, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, and the Cornhuskers from Nebraska. Their tough games being Ohio State and Washington.
He gone.
He is gone. We gonna pause.
Muff, the next part, since I really got interrupted by the internet, we got what I call the top 5. We could do this in order, or we could skip our teams and I could just let you debrief yours and I debrief mine so we can go to the other 3.
You just roll on through like you have been, buddy.
That makes me uncomfortable.
You have at it.
Okay. Penn State, 10-3 last year. Loaded defensively. Have a top 10 defensive line and linebacking core. The secondary also has a top 5 safety in Kevin Winston Jr. There are questions around outside cornerback, but incoming transfers AJ Harris and Jalen Kimber should help there. Biggest weakness, in my opinion, James Franklin.
Why do you tread so lightly on Muff's team, but when it's my team, you're like,
This truce that we have,
"You suck."
this truce that we have is ancient.
I mean, I
And-
broke it, but
Yeah, but like I'm not breaking my side. Also the cast around Drew Aller. The Nittany Lions finished 61st in the college football in team passing or in team pass blocking last season. They finished 73rd in team receiving. Penn State lost its top 2 wide receivers to the transfer portal, James Franklin. 3 starting offensive linemen to the NFL.
I
So there
mean-
even more reason for concern. The only glimmer of hope is the arrival of innovative offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki.
Kotelnicki.
Okay. Is that really wide receiver Julian Fleming? Is that your real receiver? Okay. Will help. Penn State had 16 transfers out and 6 in. Is this the end of James Franklin?
No. That was
Okay.
not the end. They still have a absolute stable of horses in the running back in the running back field.
I didn't
Um,
say that you didn't. My highlight is
You did
the
not highlight
receivers.
that. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So
Receivers.
receivers have been a down mark, and they haven't been successful in the transfer portal over the past couple of years. But they do continue to churn out top end tight ends, which has helped. Think if I remember correctly, we're looking at some young receiver hopeful talent, and hoping that Drew Aller can step up in year 2 under center.
Easy wins. WVU, Bowling Green, Kent State, UCLA, Purdue, Minnesota. 50-50. 50-50, and I'm being just go ahead, Alex. Would you like to talk about the easy win of WVU?
Nope. I'm just saying you're the only one. You're probably the first person who's said that. Out of all the
Outside of the state of West Virginia?
No,
Okay.
almost anything I've listened to breaking down like the Big Ten, talking about Big 12 even, says that is a game that Penn State should be on, like, come ready to play. Not saying Penn State's going to lose, but the Penn State should come ready
Well, if
to
they're
play.
not going to lose, I'm calling it an easy win.
Okay. So I'm saying if they walk in,
I'll defer to the Penn State fan. Muff.
I'm saying if they walk in
Oh.
and play like it's a, Division II week one matchup that you're going to win 70-0, they're going to have problems. If they come in and play like they're playing an actual team, then they'll win probably, but I don't think it's going to be a 70-3 blowout game.
They're they're 9.5-point favorites.
So
Okay.
Jim, when you gave all these grades of easy wins,
Yeah.
what is your margin of victory bare minimum that's considered for an easy win?
Double digits.
So this is not
Anything
easy.
10 or more is an easy win.
So
Yeah.
this is 9.5 right now. So
That's the line. Jim does not mean that Jim. Then Jim.
I don't
would
care what
put-
the line is.
Jim would put on money on Penn State. Done and done. I think you found Jim's first week pick right there, Alex.
good.
50-50, Illinois, Wisconsin, Maryland. Tough wins. Or tough, yeah, I'll go with tough wins. USC, Ohio State, Washington. They don't play Michigan. I think that's good for Penn State as far in terms of playoffs.
I mean, if there was a year to catch Michigan,
Playoffs?
this is the one I would want. So
Yes. Muff, do you feel that I am wrong in the categorization of any of those teams?
which teams? The easy
Of the
wins,
easy
50-50.
50-50 or tough?
I mean, I already said it. I don't think that Maryland is going to be the team that you hope them to be.
Okay.
I mean, Illinois has been tough for Penn State over the past 2 years anyway.
That's the only reason I put them in 50-50.
And
is the history.
Wisconsin, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Flip the coin, sure, 50-50.
Okay. So just wanted to be clear. Thank you. Ohio State, 11-2 last year. Will Howard, Travion Henderson, Quashawn Jenkins, Emeka Ibuka, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Ennis, Jack Sawyer. I could name all these players and be very pro
Homer.
Ohio State
Homer-ish.
Homer. Chip Kelly, Caleb Downs. Quite fucking frankly, beat Michigan, play for a title, or this is all for naught. That's the breakdowns. You spent gobs of NIL money. You've done all that you can do. This is a Cadillac that you've bought and paid for. If you don't beat Michigan and play for a title, this is a bust.
What if they don't beat Michigan and play for a title?
Bust.
Just because they didn't beat Michigan?
In order to play for a title, you have to beat Michigan.
Not true.
You're going to catch Michigan somewhere, right? Or if it's a fluke, like Michigan doesn't play for the title, they beat you, bust.
Jim, playoffs, buddy. Playoffs.
Bust.
You don't have to be undefeated and beat Michigan.
Bust. If they don't
If they
beat
win a
Michigan at
national
some point,
championship and don't beat Michigan, remember this.
Bust.
Jim. Remember this.
asterisk,
please.
bust.
Remember
Yep,
this.
absolutely, and I will say it.
That would be the
Easy
most
wins for
silly take ever.
I don't care. Easy wins: Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Iowa, or
That's a-
IU.
Schedule to me.
What's that?
That sounds like a pretty cupcake schedule, but go on.
You're not wrong. 50-50, Iowa, Nebraska, tough. Penn State, Oregon, and the team up north. Any argument with that take, Alex?
WVU's not on the schedule. I
So,
understand Marshall is, but I don't think Alex is going to tout Marshall. That
I
high.
just wanted to give him the chance to be mad at me or say something. It's
Nope.
okay.
Oregon is the matchup.
I hope
Oregon is the early season matchup for you, yeah?
Yeah, real not happy.
On the road, right?
Yes.
Mm.
It's going to be a game. Which brings me to Oregon. 12-2. Coach Dan Lanning did not go to Bama. Oregon lost the Denver Broncos starting quarterback, Broncos wide receiver Troy Franklin, Las Vegas Raiders starting center, and Tampa Bay running back Bucky Irvin. Lots of people went to the NFL, but I think the quarterback Dylan Gabriel is a dog. His backup Dante Moore is also a stud. The line has a stud, or is our studs. Jordan James at running back scored 11 times last year, averaged 7 yards. as did Noah Woodingham. They have Tez Johnson, Treshawn Holden, tight end Terrence Ferguson, all dogs. I think the biggest question is the defense. Lots of transfers, lots of moving parts. Will it all gel? I think that's where Ohio State tests them in that early. I think it's the only time they will be tested is early. And then if they solidified it, we'll know, and then watch the fuck out. Easy wins: Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State, UCLA, Michigan State, Purdue. 50-50, and I think I'm being generous. Illinois, Maryland, Wisconsin. Tough. OSU, Michigan, Washington. I take my homer hat off for a second. I think Oregon is the team to beat. Washington, 4-1 last year, runner up. New coach Jed Fisch, replacing the whole line, quarterback, 2 receivers. Got Will Rogers from Mississippi State. Jeremiah Hunter from Cal. Offensive tackle Drew Azzopardi from San Diego State. Cam Davis is coming back from injury. The Belichicks are helping as consultants and assistant coaches.
Belichick is an assistant coach.
Well, they got the other Belichick too.
Young Belichick.
They have young Belichick as an actual coordinator, and Bill's been consulting, and Michael Lombardi's been on site. They've got the whole cavalcade up there supporting.
Defense
Yeah.
should be strong.
Rainy up here kind of reminds me of New England, but on the West Coast.
Bring my
Defense should be
girlfriend
strong.
over here to Washington, and we're gonna have fun.
Jesus Christ. Easy wins: Weber State, Eastern Michigan, Northwestern, Iowa, UCLA. 50-50, Illinois, Washington State, Rutgers. Tough, Michigan, Iowa, USC, Penn State, and Oregon. Lastly,
Could be rebuilding year.
could be or could be reloading. Who knows? Michigan national champs with an asterisk.
Mhm.
No Harbaugh.
No, hold on. Last week, you said
Okay, you're right.
zero asterisk.
You're right. 0 asterisks. You're right. That's just bitter me.
To make that clear.
I take it back. I take
Connor Stowns is coaching in high school football now.
All right. No Harbaugh. Sharon Moore is the new coach. New QB, Alex Orji is the new guy. He's more of a runner. Tight end, Colston Loveland.
I thought he'd be more of a share, an option
Yep.
quarterback, Mr. Orgy.
They got a defense. Devon Edwards returns. They lost their entire O-line. So it could be really good. They could be tough. I think this is a bigger question. This is one of the biggest question marks in the Big Ten. I think
That's
easy
fair.
wins: Arkansas State, Fresno State, IU, and Northwestern. I made these games 50-50 in my head because of the question mark. Michigan State, USC, Minnesota, Washington. They're tough. They could be 50-50. I don't know. I think tough for them. Oregon, Texas, Ohio State. And that is your Big Ten breakdown.
All of the Big Ten. Take a look on our socials to see where we're ranking the teams in each division, top to bottom.
Oh, we're not gonna have a convo now? You just let me drone on?
I gotta comprehend all that, buddy.
I don't blame you one bit. I want to know what Alex right now has nothing to say. I think I've hurt our relationship with my WVU take.
No, I'm just saying I was just trying to let you have your time to talk about your conference and not interrupt you. Because I was practicing some of if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. And I wasn't gonna say anything super fact-based.
Right.
Like I was just gonna like go off the cuff and start like ripping on some of your teams, but I just drink my little protein shake and listen to what you had to say. We'll just see how things play out.
I appreciate that. We don't play any Big 12 teams in the non-conference schedule.
Ohio State doesn't.
No, I don't think there's a single Big Ten team.
No, you said one of them plays Oklahoma State. That's a Big 12 team.
Penn State
Oh,
plays
yeah.
WVU.
Oh yeah, there's that one.
Don't forget about that, Jim.
I forgot about that one.
The
There's the
opening,
one.
the opening week, Alex and I will be there.
Yeah.
I will not be wearing gold in the gold section. I will be wearing blue.
I'm
Joke's
just
on
gonna,
you, Alex. Got your tickets switched to the blue section.
I'm gonna squint like this so I can't see what his shirt says and just think he's wearing the wrong color of WVU.
Okay, my hat will say otherwise. As will people 2 rows in front of us, just so you know.
Alex, just go around saying that Muff lost his fantasy football league and that's his punishment.
I should have like a sign to hold up behind him.
That may be one of the best things you could do. It may be it. Well, thank you, Jim, for your detailed breakdown of the Big Ten. As I said, everybody look towards the socials to see where we are ranking the teams in each of the Big
18
10.
teams. What, you make us rank them all?
No,
Top
you ranked the
five.
top 5.
Oh,
Top
okay.
5 in each division.
Division are no divisions, is there?
I forgot. See, this is how much I haven't cared about college football yet.
You have to care now. It's now a thing.
We'll do top 6 teams
All right.
in the order that you think they will finish, Alex. Fair?
The order we think they'll finish.
Not just who are the top 6, but in that order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Jim.
Look at Alex already being a dick.
Well,
Oh, nope.
don't feel like you have any room to talk on that with conversations with Alex, Jim.
Already being a dick.
All right, on to other interesting news in sports.
Other interesting news in sports.
Jim got
Take 2.
tongue-tied for saying so many names, some of which are incredibly difficult. Starting off, Notre Dame has suspended their men's swim team for 1 year after they were found in violation of gambling policies. They were expected to be competing for a national championship this year. Reports say that members of the team say they were putting small bets down, but it's more interesting about what these bets were for. A makeshift sports book allowed swimmers to bet on times posted either by themselves or other teammates. More than 60% of the returning 25 swimmers took part in the betting. They did not bet on opposing teams or other Notre Dame teams. At least has not been discovered yet, per the reports. Some bets were taken on bigger events, like Super Bowl and March Madness. This is all an in-house gambling
I was
situation.
gonna say, so would this basically be like if I was like, hey Muff, I bet you $5 the Steelers win the Super Bowl?
Yes,
Like
But it's bad when you keep track.
correct. They had some type of paper trail somewhere.
yeah.
You remember, Alex, if you're a bookie, you never want the police to find your book.
And they were probably giving points.
Yeah, they were probably using lines, which they could have been using lines from FanDuel or other reputable sources to do that. I think it's really interesting how that's going to play out to like how they're betting against each other on their times, because yes, they're betting. I guess they can control that, but again, it's in-house in that way. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you were like making people money on like I don't know. This is where there's a gray area for me of like they weren't
Oh,
really they weren't on a major sports book betting. They weren't altering lines for themselves that would affect like saying like, hey Jim, bet on me to be 1 second slower. I'm going to shave a second off. You win, and I'll split with you. Like if they're
we
doing
don't
something
know
like
that's
that,
not the case.
what?
We don't know that's not the case.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. If they were doing
Preliminary
something like
reports.
that,
Yeah.
then okay, I can see that's a problem. And that's why I say it's a gray area. But if it's a bunch of guys sitting around betting on the Super Bowl within themselves as a team, like I just don't really and like not they can't affect you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Or if you're betting like, hey, I bet you I can beat my time today. Like there's a difference. Are you betting positive? Are you betting that I'm gonna do better than I usually do? Because then you're doing nothing but improving. You can't throw the bet by doing, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think there's a lot of gray area. I'd be interested to see how this played out. Was it innocently like, hey, I bet you $10 I beat my best time, and there's just someone writing it all down in a notebook and keeping track? Or is it like, hey, tell your dad to give us $20 and I'll swim whatever. Like I don't know. I think that I'm saying a gray area being I would want to know how this actually played out. If it's a bunch of guys betting on something like the Super Bowl or March Madness within themselves, especially, I don't really have a problem with that. I didn't.
Well,
Are college
March
athletes?
Madness pools are that's off limits
I
to
didn't
college
realize. Like,
athletes.
I didn't realize that. I guess I
Yeah.
didn't think that that was like a. I knew you couldn't like WVU can't go out and like bet on themselves to lose and then throw the game. Like that's wrong.
No,
But
March Madness pools are off limits for college student athletes.
At any division?
I'm pretty sure if you're NCAA sanctioned, yes.
well, I guess if that was a hard and fast firm thing, and it was just pools, and it wasn't like officially like licensed pools, it was just anything you're not supposed to do. Then
See,
you
like, and I don't know if I agree with, I don't know if I agree with this, and I see where Alex is at. Like, if I'm not, and if Blue Mountain State University had a wrestling team, right?
Bad Castle captain. Got
I'm
it.
trying not to like implicate any university. So, and they decided they were going to bet on who had the most takedowns of a tournament or a dual meet, and they kept track. Who cares?
well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, whoever everyone's gonna throw in $1, whoever has the most takedowns this meet gets the pot. Like at that
Right.
point, you're just encouraging everyone to work harder, and it's not like you're blowing something for millions of dollars or something. Like I don't have a problem with that. And that's what I'm saying. Now, if they're like branching, even though it's private, they're branching this out, or they're saying like I'll swim a little slower this meet to make money for something, like that's different. But I mean, if you're just like, hey, everyone who if you, whoever shaves the most off their time at this meet gets the pot, like okay, whatever. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I don't
weird.
know. That's convoluted to me. I don't understand how that would work, and that'd be a bad thing. I'm trying to think of how it negatively would affect, especially in swimming. I don't get it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna lose a swim meet. Like, how does that affect? I
It's
don't get it.
yeah.
Nope.
Two more to come. I don't know. We'll see. They did. I mean, like they did say they were doing some Super Bowl March Madness stuff. So maybe that's where the real issue came to be, or maybe there is larger amounts that are included in this.
But like, at what amount would we give a shit? Like, I bet $1,000 I get.
I would
two
care more if
on
they're
my
betting their
team.
parents' money on like
I don't
things.
care who they're getting the money from.
But
If
if
it's
you say
$1,000 to shave 2 seconds off my time, like I swam. I bet you I bet $1,000 I swim faster.
But that's what I'm saying. If you're saying that you'll swim better, not worse, that's where it
Right,
comes
like,
for
and
me.
I can't figure out the worst part of it. Like, I will swim a second slower.
I bet Johnny swims a second slower than he did last week. And then you're like, hey, Johnny, if you shave a second off, I'll give you half the winnings. And he does it and gets half the money for just losing a second on his time.
Then they're stealing from each other.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, that's the only way I can see this coming
That's
out.
what I mean.
Right?
Like I can see where it can be a bad thing, but it just would be a stretch. Like I think certain things would have
That
to be.
has to be what happened, because that's the only way this something like this breaks out. Right?
Yeah.
Or there's more money than they're leading on.
That's what I mean. It had to be big ass money, and some poor rich kid got robbed.
Yeah, poor rich kid. That's pretty oxymoronic, but
That's what I mean.
we'll be there. Colt McCoy finally calls it quits, announcing his retirement from the NFL. Will now serve as an analyst for NBC during Big Ten games.
This just in: Minnesota has reached out to Colt McCoy.
Making his debut on September 7th with the Colorado-Nebraska game. Give some Shadur Sanders breakdowns.
Yay!
Oh boy.
At Shadur Sanders on Twitter. Back of his jersey.
I won't play into that.
This is not Alex's night.
In the fight game, Judge Howie Booth was relieved of his duties mid-card after giving Tai Tuivasa all 3 rounds when the other two judges scored it 2-1 and 3-0 in favor of the winner, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. It's the first time I've ever heard of this, Jim, of a judge being relieved mid-card.
It is the first time I've heard of it, but I think Dana has said that he has that power. or has threatened to use such a power. Like if it's
Mhm.
that ridiculous, I can't remember it might have been with Rogan or it might have been somebody else. I heard him say if it came out like that ridiculous that he'll just bounce the judge.
Yeah, it was.
But is it judging? Are they saying like he's just terrible at scoring the sport, or his opinion on like the fight was wrong? Like I
Well,
don't know
both
enough
both
about
in
it.
that case, his opinion led to
Yeah.
his score, which was
Or like my guess is he's saying like, oh, he's trying to throw this for the other guy, or like it's an intentional slight,
or he's
or
just
Right.
terrible.
he's just terrible. Yeah.
Something is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, he scored at 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, and the other two judges were 10-9, 10-9, 10-9 for the other guy, and 10-9, 9-10, 10-9.
I think the 2-1 throws some like wait. If it was 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0 one way and then
0-3.
3-0 the other way, it was like but I'm cool with bouncing it. I think that should be more of a thing.
Yeah, I just when I saw that, I was like, huh, mid card. Okay.
I'm honestly in favor of live scoring. Not like an announcer. Like if me, you, and Nate are judges
Mhm.
and we get to see Alex's take as the audience. Like this is how Alex would score it, and he used to be a judge.
Mhm.
No, I think me, you, and Nate should have our scoring live. It doesn't make any sense why we don't. I don't
So the
care.
fighters can see it, or just the audience?
Everyone
Okay.
live. Like, why not? That's stupid. Why we don't? It's this boxing commission is or athletic commission is rigged. We've known it since the dawn of time. Put that shit live. It's push. Well, it's technology.
Mhm.
Push a button. Dumb.
Put the bunny in the box.
Yep. Like for the very example we talk about Notre Dame. Like we're suspending kids for a year because they're betting on each other. But we're letting these paid professionals who we spend $50 a fight dictate the outcome, and we don't know who they are, how they're doing it live in the moment. We're accepting their decision at the end.
After the fact.
That's stupid.
I mean, they do collect the cards at the end of every round, correct?
But we don't see them till
No, I'm
way
saying we don't.
after.
I'm saying we don't. I'm not saying that we can.
Oh yeah, they collect them and they turn them in, and yeah, but like we're the ones betting the money.
Mhm.
That's stupid.
Transparency in the fight game.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams that can't catch a break, Pirates coming off a 10-game losing streak have the MLBPA, the union, is suing the Pirates and Sheets for using the images of 3 or more players with the Sheets marketing campaign, as the Pirates have a Sheets patch on their jersey without a licensing agreement. The MLBPA is demanding the Pirates halt the campaign and pay monetary damages to the players.
Sounds like a whole lot to do about nothing.
So basically, it'd be like if I'm a Pirates player, I walk by, I'm like, holy crap, there's my face on the Sheets poster. I didn't agree to that. You owe me money.
Well, they may
Is
have agreed to it, but I think the MLBPA is saying the players may not have realized, or since there's no agreement, no license agreement with the MLB, I'm assuming there are restrictions on how many players can be used in the campaign, and the Pirates circumvented the licensing agreement to be able to use more of their players to help with that partnership.
Gotcha.
Oh,
What the sheet?
What the Sheets?
Bullsheets.
I don't think I don't think you guys have the right take on this one. I think this is more of Pirates abuse to your players, and you should be mad at the organization.
I mean, isn't that what I just said?
I've been mad at the organization for years.
But like I
mean,
guess I guess my thing is like I think you guys should be I think you guys are Pittsburgh numb. You're just like,
That's Pirates numb.
there
It's
they
not
go
It's not
again.
Pittsburgh. This
Yeah,
is Bob.
Pirates
This
numb,
is
right?
Bob Nutting numb.
Yeah, and there they
Numb
go
nuts.
again. Like,
Sorry, Nate.
numbnuts.
on that.
but I just like you guys need to treat your players better so we have a better team.
I mean, it came out like at the end of their 10-game losing streak. I was like, what the hell? Why can't we
Yeah.
just let this lie? Why did this have to come out after the 10-game losing streak? Why couldn't this have come out at the beginning of the season? We can
deflection. So people weren't talking about the fact that they went on a 10-game losing streak. We're talking about their pictures being on sheets.
Was the organization just holding this, waiting for the losing streak to be like, oh yeah, we can deflect the attention. Now they're going to be mad at other things.
Release the distraction.
Oh!
So I have like several questions, and I don't know if this is the appropriate venue, but I'm just going to take a shot. And Nate, if you need to jump off, I'm sorry. Why is it that like we talk about the Red Sox when they suck, or the Cubs when they have a but we don't talk about the Pirates?
You don't talk about major market teams unless they suck for multiple years.
How many years do you guys have to suck?
As a small market team,
Yeah.
you're not expected to perform
Okay.
because you're not paying the money to get those high profile players that the Yankees, the Red Sox, I mean, the Cubs are still a mid-market team, right, Nate?
I don't know. I would say they're up there. I mean, you're in Chicago, but you're splitting the city with the White Sox, who are just atrocious. But
yeah, and I mean, you've got the Dodgers and all of them. I mean, just one or two of their player contracts are like the entire Pirates payroll. Like so it's tough because it's not a salary cap driven league. So it is the haves and the have-nots. And the only thing the have-nots have is the profit sharing, which we've talked about in the past, that the Pirates organization like dumps money into these like Dominican training facilities, which doesn't necessarily translate to players that they hold on to consistently after they draft them or when they're developed. It doesn't mean they're going to be for the Pirates. It just means that they're going to help develop players in other areas of the world. Was it India, Nate? They had that initiative with those pitchers in India. I think that was a one-off though.
right,
But
there's a movie about that, wasn't there?
yeah, there's a movie. That's the only reason it resonates with me. So that's the thing, Jim, is if there's no salary cap, so you can't anticipate playing with the big boys every year. What is it? The Marlins twice in the past 20, 25 years have truly been competitive and they've competed for a World Series, and then they're terrible for 10 years.
So then as and I think I've said this numerous times on this podcast, as fans, as a fan base, why are we okay with it?
Because we can't change that we're a small market team.
But like, why is there not like, why don't we do what the A's do and just not go? Or like
Explain
some
what you
form
mean
of
by that.
some form of protest to be like, stop sucking.
What did the A's? The A's hit the lottery. And since then, Jim, what have you heard about the A's?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I feel bad for Pirates fans.
Well, we feel bad about it too, but it's also expected.
All right.
I said I was going to get excited if we made it to August. We made it to August, and they lose 10 straight. So fuck it.
Okay.
It's fun while it lasted.
Was. And that ends this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. We have week 0 this week. We're going to see a game in Dublin, as long as 3 or 4 other games that Jim is just chomping at the bit to bet on.
I am.
So he'll get his wish. I mean, you could have bet preseason football.
No, it's not the same.
Okay. As a reminder, you always at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
And
You didn't knock that.
And
What?
wow, you're performing all the action verbs, even if you're knocking on a door when it's supposed to be ding-a-ding-a-lingin'. You need to tell a friend, make a friend, be a
Right.